episode of Chatty Broads with Bekah and Jess.
The bros started theirs by cracking open a beer, but we're the health queens over here.
I'm a hydrated bitch now. I'm starting to change my life around. You know what I mean?
Did I tell you about did we talk about on the podcast the guy that only drank? Yeah, the guy with the horses that only.
Oh yeah.
Did I tell you about how he got last time about how he got really sick on it too when he started drinking? Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, so far I'm feeling okay. Yeah, I've been puking. It's been nonstop. In fact, give me 1 second. The water is just not doing well. Well, here's the thing. I wanted to pop some champagne and also have a delicious birthday treat for the birthday queen, but I couldn't find a sauerkraut cake for your Candida diet.
Fuck you. Actually, keto desserts have been really good.
I wasn't 100% quite sure what I could get.
I'm really glad because
you.
I would be sad if you bought something that I couldn't eat and then.
Yeah, I figured that I didn't know enough about it. But then I got the champagne and then you were like, Jessica, I can't have that. And I'm like, well.
But it was sweet.
Well, we tried. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday to me.
Do you know what one of my most favorite things about you is?
My birthday?
No, about you.
Yeah.
Is that I'm really terrible at remembering birth dates.
But I don't let you forget.
No, it's not that. That's not the thing. I can Google you. That's my most favorite thing about you.
Ding, ding, ding. That's fucking true.
Get yourself a friend who you can Google their birthday, okay? Because I'm so bad at remembering days, birthdays.
Yeah.
I feel terrible. I forget my own. You know what I mean?
I always I can't remember if Grace is the 28th or 29th. For some reason, I have a really hard time with the 20s, friends whose birthdays are like, or family who's like,
they're
March 20 something.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's really hard for me.
Well, I don't have to worry about that with you because you're just a Google away. So I know, I know everything about you. I know your birthday. I know like the age that you're turning, and you are stepping into what I believe is the best year.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Not to set your hopes too high or anything, but
I'm feeling good about it.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. We're recording this the day before my birthday also, so I'm not 27 yet, so who knows?
But 27, now, will I say my 27th year was my personal favorite year? Not necessarily, but I felt like it felt the best.
Did you get pregnant with Ember that year?
I did, which sounds like I'm saying that's terrible. It wasn't my favorite year.
No, I'm correcting it. I'm like, that's why I'm like, it's your favorite year. Didn't you get pregnant that year?
Well, I did. And so I was pregnant for most of my 27th year. Uh-huh. So it's not like, I did a lot of staying at home. I was pretty tired during my pregnancy, but it was it's a good year. It feels good. I don't know. I feel like everything just starts to kind of come alive in the 27th
I do feel though
year.
like I just started my 20s and then now I'm like, wait a second, I'm in my late 20s now, officially in my late 20s.
This sounds like I'm ancient of days coming to you being like, just you wait, my dear.
No, I'm sure.
But now,
because you're about to be in your mid 30s.
I'm gonna be 34.
That's your mid 30s.
Yeah.
Well, you're not about to be, but
it feels like it's right around the corner. It's just knocking at the
it
door.
Is.
But it's
just like death.
Each year comes so quickly now that I'm just like, I cannot. In my brain, I'm still in my mid 20s.
Yeah,
I am not gonna be 34.
I know. I was just chatting with an ex-boyfriend, as I do.
As I do around my birthday, the memories come flooding back.
No, I was just chatting, just DMing with one of my ex-boyfriends, where we always reply back to each other's things, usually saying mean things to each other. That has never gone away. Yeah. But he was like, "Oh, how's your career going?" or something, and I was like, "Career is such a weird word. I still feel like a 17-year-old most of the time. I'm like, career is something you have when you're older. But from everyone I've talked to, it's kind of like that's how you continue to feel even when you're in your 50s or 60s. You're like, I still feel like I'm a very young person.
That's why I hate the whole concept where people talk about dressing your age. I'm like, go fuck that.
No, my inner child,
forever.
My inner junior higher has been dressing me. I just bought Citizens for Humanity jeans because everyone in junior high had Citizens, and Seven for All Mankind, and because I went to a private school and everyone had a lot of money and my parents would not buy me them. And so what I would always do when I was in junior high is thrift queen. I would go to the consignment store and I'd, the back edges would be totally in shreds, but they'd be like $40 instead of like 180. So I used to always try to find those true religions in the racks,
Oh, yeah.
So I went on Poshmark the other day and just started searching like Abercrombie tops.
Yes,
do you remember
let it come out.
Do you remember those tops that would like on the rack, because the fabric would be so thin that on the rack they would be like, and the sleeves would be like this wide.
Oh, but then when you stretched into it, yes.
But do you remember the ones that would have the cuffs would be like 5 inches, and then the buttons, there would be like 10 tiny buttons?
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about those.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was seeing them
those
come
are
up on my Poshmark. They were, and then you would layer them with 2 tanks underneath so you could get 3 different colors going.
Oh, yeah.
All
that
at
was
once.
Prime fashion.
Prime fashion. So I was like, I'm going to treat myself. I bought 2 pairs of Citizens. I bought my little 7 for All Mankind A shorts. And it all came out to a grand total of like $30 because no one wears that shit anymore.
Maybe that's the new wave.
It is Y2K fashion, as they say.
That's true.
I hate that. There's something I hate about that label. Does that bother you?
The only thing that bothers me is the trauma of remembering Y2K.
Like the event or the fashion? The event.
I just remember.
You thought it was all over.
Oh, I remember sitting in front of...
I wasn't old enough. I was 5.
Yeah, I had... It was the giant TV. We had like
Not even. I was
when the TVs had the asses on them? Mm-hmm. They were just huge. There was no flat screens. We had this giant...
Oh, yeah. And you'd have the built-in in the wall, right? And the built-in was like this giant, as big as a couch.
And it was so thick. And I remember just sitting in front of that screen. And my parents are such warriors, too. So they had been my brain had been filling up with all their fear about Y2K, and you better believe that we had like a stock in the garage,
prepping,
fully gold, everything. And so I just remember being a kid sitting there just shaking as the countdown happened, just praying. I was like, if there is a God, please spare us.
Jesus
so
Christ.
I hate Y2K.
Jesus Christ. That's scary.
It was so scary.
I gotta ask my parents and my sister about this because I never remember hearing about it.
I just probably get the energy from your family that they weren't as concerned about it. You know what I mean? They were a little more logical, and my family was just like, oh, God is bringing fire from the ground. Like, that was definitely what was happening in my family.
I don't know. We all read Left Behind.
Do you know that? Oh my gosh, this is so funny. So a couple weeks ago... What a nightmare. A couple weeks ago, broads, if you weren't raised in an evangelical home, Left Behind were these books.
In the 90s and early 2000s specifically.
That they say, like, from the Bible, that someday God's going to come back. It's the rapture. And people who believe in God will be taken off the earth. And then the remainder will be left to like deal with horrific events. Now, in the Left Behind books, people would get like snatched, and their clothes would be there. Okay, so that it
like in a neat little pile.
Yeah, it traumatized all the youth. If you talk to any kid who was raised with the Left Behind books, you're like, oh, I lived in constant fear whenever I couldn't find my parent in the grocery store. It was like, oh, I got left behind because I'm not one of the chosen people, or I rejected God apparently as a 5-year-old. Horrifying. The other day when we recorded and I had the bad migraine and then you got it. Well, I was taking a little nap. Becca was like, lay down, as I said before. And I knew you were working in the living room. And I was awoken from my nap and I walked into the living room. Your computer was open. Your food was out and you weren't there. And I was like, and then I went into the studio and I was like, Becca, and I looked in the backyard. And I was like, my immediate thought was like, Becca got raptured. She's going back to church, and now I've been left here. That was my immediate thought.
I'm a true believer. Bye, bitch.
And I'll never leave.
Peace. I'm out with Jesus.
Like, I know she's going back to church again. So now she's getting taken, and I'm left here. And then you walked through the front door, and I was like,
where
wow.
was I?
I think you were like out in the front taking a call or something. Mm-hmm. Or maybe on a little walk. I don't know.
I was dropping off at the post office.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But I was like, where is Becca? I'm alone in my home. And then my home all of a sudden frightened me so much.
Oh my God. You're on your Instagram the other day, which we haven't talked about on the podcast. Tell about the event. Sorry, guys. More news from the extraterrestrial front or the supernatural front.
Okay, so Evan
This
and
is
I,
weird.
it was actually
weird.
it was actually really frightening. Evan and I were sitting,
And I don't know why you guys keep lying about this stuff and making it up, but I do entertain it for the podcast.
Can you imagine? We're just like, let's just keep this shtick going.
Content.
Evan was truly frightened.
Dude.
Like truly frightened. And I was scared, but Evan, that shit really, really messes with him. So Evan and I had been sitting at the kitchen table. We ate dinner together. We were working. We were talking for like 2.5 hours sitting there. And the whole time Ember had this little elephant toy that was like on the edge of the table. And we're in the middle of talking, and all of a sudden, this toy just right in front of us moves like 6 inches. Like full zzz. And we both just like stare at each other, and we didn't say a word for about 5 minutes.
It was far enough so that you guys obviously like noticed it in your vision. Like it was like noticeable.
It was like, it went like this
That's
far.
like a foot.
Oh yeah, a foot, I guess.
Yeah.
I've always been bad with measurements.
So it moved like a lot to the point where you guys, I'm sure, we're mid-sentence and we're like...
Well, and the thing about it was, too, is that I was looking at Evan, but Evan was looking ahead.
Yeah.
And so I saw it out of my peripheral vision, and he saw it fully move. And he was messed up for the next 24 hours.
They're fucking with you guys.
I know. And
Let's not
then he
forget-
told me the next night, I was gone, and he was still at home, and he said it moved again.
Maybe this is the stuffed animal that Ember saw being sacrificed.
Perhaps.
No, it was Busby. I know.
Yeah,
I remember. But I remember it was Busby. It was not the elephant.
It was either Busby, Buzzbay,
Busby or Buzzbay,
Buzz Fuzz, or
Fuzz.
Club Fuzz.
Club Fuzz. Got it.
One of the 4 buzzes.
Noted.
Mm-hmm.
What day was this?
Last week. Maybe Tuesday.
On the day that the episode was released. So the ghosts can't listen to us while we're recording, but they heard it when it got dropped on the feed. They're subscribed.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And they were like, the divine spark. Yeah, sure.
They're like, we're gonna show you right now.
We're gonna show you a divine spark, bitch.
And then it was kind of freaky
pissed.
because then I pulled up, of course, the ghost app, which Evan was legit. Like, I thought he was gonna divorce me, and I was like, come on, let's do it. Let's talk to him. Let's try to see if there's something. And he's like, seriously, stop. But I was like, I don't care what you say. I'm doing it. So I pulled it up, and I pulled up the little heat sensitivity thing. And there was this big heat thing right behind Evan.
No way.
Yeah, like in between us where we were sitting.
No way.
Yeah.
Just wants to hang.
Yeah, it didn't feel ominous to me.
Notice me.
He's like a cute ghost, and he's like, hey, in my previous life, everyone paid attention to me.
No, and this is what they did. It had its toe, and it was like this.
He's like
Pushing
extending.
That's what you don't realize was happening. It actually had its hand or foot on. It had its hand on the table, and it was like, it was like this, hey, and then accidentally pushed the stuffed animal.
It's like a
across
ghost
the
that's like on a piano, and it's just like, hi, just extending its
Hello.
leg, and it's like, hey, you up for a little threesome?
And then it's like, fuck, I scared you guys.
It's like, oh, so sorry. I forgot the whole ghost thing and everything. He's like, I was picking up energy that we were ready to, like, take it to the next level. I was also thinking that off of that perhaps ghosts are just people who were like really hot in a previous life, or in their life on Earth, and they just are like, they're used to attention.
They don't like that they don't have attention.
That's the thing.
Anymore.
And maybe that's why they want to stay on Earth. They're like, Earth was great for me. Everyone thought I was so hot and everyone paid attention to me. So I'm just going to stay on Earth for a little bit longer and just kind of be like, hey, sugar, like,
hey, sexy.
Hey, hottie, like, I'm going to pull your little foot while you're in bed at nighttime, or I'm going to breathe down your neck.
I have something to say along these lines.
You want to talk about sexy, sexy ghosts or sexy, sexy people?
Sexy, sexy me.
Oh, I love sexy, sexy you. Yes.
Sexy me ghost.
I can't wait till you haunt this earth one day. But in the meantime, broads, we all want to feel our best all the time, regardless whether, we're haunting the earth or whether we're currently on the earth. But unfortunately, life happens and sometimes we just don't feel great. I personally have a really hard time falling asleep, especially when there are things moving around in my home by, other beings. When I feel stressed out and when I don't sleep, the rest goes downhill very quickly. My favorite way to feel best naturally is with my Feels CBD.
Oh my God, I love Feels Premium CBD. I love Feels Premium CBD. It's the way to feel better and keep your head clear. Feels does not give me any feeling of being high. It is pure relief. I am saying this off script, you guys. It naturally helps me reduce my stress, my anxiety. It helps me so much with sleep. I take it every night before I go to bed and CBD also, you don't get like dependent on it. It actually, did you know that your body uses CBD better? Like it utilizes it better the more that you use it.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So you really want to build it into your daily routine. Anyways, which is why you should join the Feels monthly membership. So you always have your Feels on hand and you'll save even more money on each order also.
I love the CBD oil so much, but what I'm really loving too is their new CBD infused mints.
I keep them in my purse.
Right? The other day, Becca and I were out and I was like passing those things around, right? Everyone wants a CBD mint. Come on. You never know. You never know when you might need one, and it comes quite in handy, okay? My anxiety tends to creep up at the worst times, often in public. And all I have to do when I start feeling anxious, I pop one of those CBD mints in my mouth. And in a moment, I have a calm mind with a side of minty fresh breath. Talk about a win.
Start feeling better with Feels. Become a member today by going to feels.com/chatty. And you're going to get 40% off your first 3 months with free shipping. This is a really good deal, you guys. Like, really good. This is like strong, high quality CBD. That's FEALS.com/chatty to become a member and get 40% automatically taken off your first 3 months with free shipping. Feals.com/chatty. Seriously, guys, this is a good investment. It helps with migraines. Favorite brand of CBD I've ever used by far.
Buy them out. Broads, there's not really a blueprint for life. Every week, every day, every minute is unpredictable and messy. And honestly, we could all benefit from talking it out from time to time. With Talkspace, you'll get unlimited access to a licensed therapist to help you navigate this thing we call life by giving feedback, providing a new perspective, or even just lending a listening ear.
For a long time, I just never found a therapist because of just the logistics. Having to drive to a therapist, having to just even find one in the first place was so hard. And I know that that's like, that in and of itself is a really big barrier for people. But it's been, over a year now, and I've had a really good experience. So if you're on the fence or you're feeling skeptical about talking to a stranger about your life, or you feel like you don't have like the time or don't know where to start, let me tell you, Talkspace is the place. There are so many reasons why you may want to talk to a therapist, from processing trauma and grief to try to work on your relationships to dealing with your anxiety. Whatever you have going on, the perfect therapist to get you through it is on Talkspace.
And you can message your Talkspace therapist 24 hours a day and even set up live video calls on your schedule. That was always one of the reasons it was hard for me to see a therapist, finding the time and the schedule to search for the right fit, then setting aside the same time each week to go see someone. It was always just kind of a hassle, but now I use Talkspace and I can talk to someone on my schedule, which has made it so much easier to get the help I need.
Join Talkspace today and start the journey to happier, healthier relationships. Just visit Talkspace.com and get $100 off your first month when you use promo code Chatty at sign up. That's $100 off at Talkspace.com, promo code Chatty.
All right, speak, Queen.
Okay. First of all, can I just tell you that the other day on Instagram, I was like promoting our podcast, and I was like, we don't have over like this many 5-star reviews, and like we got nominated for iHeart Awards, whatever. And some bitch replied back to me and was like, she was like, just so you know, you only got those reviews and those nominations for being a Bachelor recap podcast. I don't listen anymore. And I blocked her on the spot.
That's really rude.
I blocked her on the spot. And she doesn't listen now, so she won't hear this.
Well, here's the thing though. That's why we got nominated when we were doing Bachelor recaps. So we got nominated for that. Cool. We did that for years.
I know.
So we don't deserve the nomination because we're not recapping the season?
Also, it was 30% of our content.
That's very true.
The other 60 to 70% of our content was non-Bachelor.
I think one of the things we were nominated for was TV,
yes.
Best Like TV. So that, sure, recap. But the other one was Best Ad Read. So that has nothing to do with being a Bachelor podcast. And that's really mean.
And it's mean.
It's mean
so
and it's
anyway,
unnecessary.
Guys, prove her wrong. And if you're still listening, please leave a 5-star review.
Is there anyone out there for Becca's birthday, for the love of God?
Oh, yeah. Tap those 5 stars if you want to say happy birthday, Becca.
Listen, if Bekah has in any way improved your life, affected your life,
even negatively,
whether it be positive or negative, if you have consumed any of
if I've made you feel mad, happy, sad,
just hit that subscribe button on YouTube.
Smash that subscribe button.
Smash it on YouTube. Smash it on the Apple Podcast app. And 5 stars, please.
5 stars, please. Tears in my eyes. Oh, this is another thing I have to talk about, which is birthday posts.
Okay.
And I want to make this very clear. I loved your birthday post last year, but it was a little too good because then a lot of people in the comments were saying that you were a good friend. And I just want you to know I don't want a repeat of that situation.
Okay. I'm feeling a lot of relief that you're saying this to me because I did, it was a good birthday post. It was a good birthday post. Which your birthday post to me was so lovely for my birthday too.
I don't remember what it was, but I remember you did like a poem, and it was kind of like 10 things I hate about you-esque.
Yeah, it was kind of romantic. And no, but then with my birthday post, there was clips for me from the podcast about me laughing and being your friend and doing it was so cute. Nice. But I will say I had been researching TikToks to be like, okay, how am I gonna make this post? And so I wanted to I did, but I was also feeling a little nervous because I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to be as creative. I don't know.
This is what I want for my birthday. You've got 24 hours to do it.
Okay, speak it.
I want you to do...
Let me set my alarm.
Yeah, please.
24 hours.
Please. I want you to do... Did you see that TikTok of that girl when her child was in the hospital? And they were like, and it was like, what's wrong with baby...
Dude, that was, you mean the most upsetting TikTok that's ever been made in the entire world? Yes.
I actually felt bad for her because obviously she didn't think when she did that she would get the response that she did, which is kind of her fault for being that out of touch.
Yeah.
But I did feel bad because I'm like, she's already in the position where she's going through something stressful with her family, and now she's going viral for people saying that she's
a horrible
like an awful
parent.
Yeah.
It was
out of touch.
It was one of the worst TikToks I've ever seen. It was really difficult.
And one of the best. So I want you to do a dance like that kind of thing where it's like, it's Bekah's, and I want the captions to be like, it's Bekah's birthday. Okay, she's 27, and you're like doing body rolls to like a very popular song. Okay,
that's
all I want you to do is do a TikTok song.
You want me to do a TikTok song?
Yeah, and I'm not on the TikTok.
You don't want an original score from me? If
you'd like to throw it in, go for it. But I want to make sure that the TikTok's theme is write nice things. The TikTok's theme is write nice things about me in the comments. Me, my birthday, not just being a good friend day. Okay. So it might be a good score in a video. Yeah. Message her it privately. Don't need to see it in the comments. Just about.
Okay. Bekah. All right. I will start.
And that's a note to you broads too. Don't comment anything about Jess, how pretty she's looking, how sweet it is. That's going to piss me off. That's going to get me triggered. And I'm going to need you to hold back and message her privately. Some things should stay private. And on my birthday, compliments to anyone other than me should stay private. Thank you.
The message has been sent.
Yeah.
And I will start, broads, I will start off.
Please.
I will start this off myself. Bekah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. A few of my favorite things about you.
Oh, thank you. Finally, someone gives me what I want.
First of all, on a surface level, you've never been prettier.
I agree.
You've never been prettier. You're glowing. Oh, your hair is looking fantastic. Your style has been popping off. Everything is really coming together for your 27th year.
It's funny because it's true. Because we were looking at all of it as the podcast, and I was like, hideous. I know not everything is about appearance, but that is ugly. What are you doing? Did you put any effort before you walked out of the house? So I feel like I'm really emerging from my cocoon.
You are the top level. You are looking 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
On a personal level, you had made commitments to yourself personally about just like how you were going to move through life. And I want to say to you, whether it's on the podcast and off the podcast, you have never been more positive, joyful, less like there's this new Bekah now who's like, when we're starting to kind of go down that like shit talking hole, you'll be the one to be like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Just like you told yourself and you have done it. And you have done it well.
Thanks, Jess.
You're an amazing mother.
Thanks, Jess.
An amazing mother. Your children are an absolute representation of that. I literally could not handle Ruth's birthday. I was like, Evan and I left, we're like, who are these perfect children? Like, I can't even, just sweet, like, lovely, wonderful. And
thanks.
You're also really funny. And you make me laugh all the time. And I love you.
Same.
And you're my favorite person.
Wow.
Okay. And it's all true.
Thanks. I love you.
I love you too.
Oh, that's so
Happy
sweet.
birthday.
That's so sweet. Can we talk about...
So take a tip, bros, and put it in Instagram.
And don't copy anything she said. I better not hear anything remotely similar to what she just said.
Fact, broads,
unique compliments only.
You need to read all the other broads' comments and make sure yours is completely original. We need thousands of original compliments.
That's exactly. Come up with thousands of unique, special things to say
Words of
about me.
affirmation on the birthday.
Oh my God. Also, can we just talk about that for a minute?
Please.
Did you see the video that I took of Ember when she was watching the performers?
Oh my God. And I was watching her the entire time and I was like, this kid.
But you know what was so cute? Gray told me that she whispered to Evan about, okay, so on Ruth's birthday, we had Elsa and Anna from Frozen come and perform.
And Ruth, okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. So I know, like, of course you adore your child, but you see her all the time.
Yeah.
As an outsider, let me explain something. Walking into your house and her little Elsa dress, Ruth was floating around, like floating. She was levitating around the party. Like she was just going up to everyone. She was singing to herself the entire time. She was like she like went into the back, like past the bounce house and all the other kids were playing in the dirt. And she was like literally weaving in between them, singing full like show yourself. And I'm captivated. And she is just so cute. I mean, like I couldn't. I was just following her around the party the whole time. I was like, nobody talk to me. I'm watching.
As a topper on the cake, we see the Ember and Ruth were totally... Ember brought her little phone.
Yeah, she really wanted to show her.
You should have seen the two of them. Like, I tried to get a photo on the Polaroid and it didn't come out good. But they were both like huddled, sitting on the bounce house, like going through the phone, just like passing it back and forth.
I posted a video and everyone was commenting. Everyone was like crying and they're like, it's you and Bekah in the past. And then they were calling them the chatty babes. And I was like, stop it. I can't handle it. My heart's going to explode.
That's so
They were so cute. So cute.
But so Gray told me that during the performances that Ember was like, the reason she was looking at that like that is that she whispered to Evan, she goes, is that the real Elsa? She was like trying to decode
she was
whether or not they were the real thing or not.
She was so skeptical and she was just like sitting back, just watching them perform. And she comes back to me and yeah, to me and Evan, and she's just like, so, that the real Elsa?
Is that her?
And I said, I'm like, I don't quite know. I'm like, I maybe. I'm like, I don't know.
She does in her spare time.
I don't know. Maybe she, I don't know. Maybe she, I mean, could you consider her the real Elsa? She's dressed as Elsa going to perform at children's parties.
Yeah,
Maybe she's one of the real Elsas because guess what? Elsa's a cartoon, so she's not real.
She's not real.
So maybe she's the real Elsa.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Arendelle, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Genovia, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure. But then Ember was just like, I'm not sure. She goes, she doesn't quite look like her. Her voice sounds a little different, but I'm gonna keep watching. She was just top to bottom, just like analyzing her.
That's what's so fabulous
skeptical
about that age too is, and what's so fantastic about that is, so there is the half of her that is going, that could be the real Elsa from Arendelle. Mm-hmm. And that is what is so amazing about that age. Is they're not like, it's a movie and it's fake. It's like, she's out there somewhere.
She's in the in-between. So she's like, she's processing. It's like, well, I want it to be true. But also my critical mind now is like, but I'm not quite sure.
Mm-hmm.
So complex, so fantastic.
But she didn't say anything about, did she just take for granted that Anna actually looked much more like the character? So
yes.
Was she just like, that's the real Anna?
She was, I think, pretty accepting of Anna. It was Elsa that she was feeling a little skeptical about. She's feeling a little skeptical. She wasn't quite buying it. Though they were both lovely performers, but she was, Anna was kind of a dead ringer.
Yeah, she really was.
She was.
The braids and everything. And she had to go to the bathroom at one point inside the house. And Ruth was like, where's Anna? Where did Anna go? She's supposed to be here for my party. Where is she?
Please, nobody embarrass me around Anna.
And here's the real problem. She goes, maybe Anna Elsa come back next weekend, And I'm like,
no. She's like, but if they really loved me, they would come back.
Yeah, I'm like, well, Arendelle is a long flight, honey.
That's
expensive.
That's good. Yeah, Arendelle is
You can't just hop on a 27-hour flight every other weekend. This is a once-a-year type thing.
Yeah, no. Let's take into consideration the cost of a flight from and to Arendelle.
Well, and we were scared because at Disneyland, thankfully, they were really far away on the float.
Oh, yes.
But we were scared. I was Googling, like, do Anna and Elsa live at Disneyland? They don't. They live at California Adventure. Because I didn't want her, if she saw them up close.
And then she'd be like, that's
different.
See, that's a good mom. You're diving into research. You're concerned.
Where do Anna and Elsa live? Besides Arendelle. Okay?
No fucking wiki. Yeah. Oh my God. I mean the real ones.
The real Anna and Elsa? Anyway, another thing. Let's talk about Disneyland for a second.
Let's talk about Disneyland.
I wanted to talk about it after the guys.
Yeah, because they were, you know what? I lectured. I mean, Evan knew it was coming because he knows how I feel about Disneyland. So he knew it was coming.
I will say this. I fully understand the sentiment. There are...
The bros basically on their last episode, they, Gray had just gotten back from Disneyland for Ruth's B-Day present, basically.
Yeah.
And he had an amazing time. And then Evan and him were talking about how much they love Disneyland now with a family.
But it's a red flag if someone goes without kids.
Exactly.
But this is the thing. They took it too far. So to me, there's two things. Mm-hmm. I had a season pass with my roommate.
Same.
We would go quite frequently.
The best.
And there's... The thing is they did not differentiate. They were saying anyone without kids who goes, Disneyland is a freak. But they took it too far because I will say this. There's some, in my opinion, this is, I'm just going to speak my truth right now. There is some truth to where they're coming from because there are the people who are like this. I have a Disney pass and I have my 5 pairs of ears in my closet and I go and do my computer work over at the, at Lafayette Square or, New Orleans Square or whatever. And then after that, I go and take the little boat ride across to the island. And then that's where I take my business calls, and then after that, in the evening, I love catching, dinner at the Pirates of the Caribbean. And then, and then I go home and that's how I do my days, like my weekdays by myself. And I have met some of those people and they have the tattoos and such. And that's where I'm like, stop.
Okay.
Live your truth. Be yourself. I do judge you, but live your truth.
I want you to look me in the eyes. Me. You're sitting across from one of them.
You're wearing an Aristocats shirt right now, which is one of the best OG movies. I love Aristocats.
If I could take all my business calls at Disneyland and be there every day, I would. You know why? Because I want to live in a goddamn fantasy. I want to be. But this I want my whole life to be a fantasy.
But this is why I think you people are freaks.
Go ahead, please speak it.
I would do the same if there was 30 people in Disneyland. There's not. There's 3,000 at any given time with their shitty kids and yelling at their partners. And sometimes there's actual rats that you see running around. And it's
at Disneyland?
Yes, I've seen one.
For real?
Yes.
Wow, one got away because I don't think there's ever been one except that one.
Except
they keep a tidy ship.
The Mickey and the Minnie.
Yes.
There's only 2 mice who live there. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing. This is why I think those people are freaks, because it's still a theme park. Okay. It's a nasty, disgusting theme park, not compared to all the other ones.
It's stunning. I could lick off that floor. But the amount of people and like the work to get there when you're alone.
It's not disgusting. I won't say that, but it's still like the kind of gross theme park. Like it's a theme parks. All theme parks, even creme de la creme, are kind of gross.
It smells so good.
It does smell good.
It's so clean and jolly.
On like Six Flags, it smells like vomit and like sticky Coke.
Oh God, Six Flags I love a roller coaster. I love
Six Flags.
Here's the thing. You know how when you were climbing a lot, how you would take a drive hours away and put all the work into that? Mm-hmm. That's my Disneyland. So I'm like, I'll drive there. I'll get through all the crowds, all the busyness, because that is my peak summit.
Your anxiety isn't affected by that?
No, in fact, it's reversed. I think all the busyness around me and like the anxiety around me soothes me.
Do you know what I think of the whole time I'm at Disneyland?
Don't say it.
You know what I'm thinking of the entire time.
I do. I do know what you're thinking of, but you know what? You know why I love Disneyland? Yeah. Because no one like Disneyland is protective to that level.
Yeah.
They know, and so they're like, you got to go through, even if you're coming through downtown Disney, full search, and I forget the amount of like plainclothes people there who work for security. It's something like 1 to every 100 people. Like it's wild. They have so many people there like ready to go if there's an emergency.
I also get scared of this though, like even like natural disaster. And especially I remember pre-COVID, now it's not as bad COVID, but I remember pre-COVID when I had the season pass and me and my roommate would go and they'd do the light parade. And I remember being like squished in like walking pathways.
I don't like that, and I'll get out. I don't like. I stay away from the parades or like anything like that. I like to get out before the fireworks. You know, I love it so much.
Yeah,
and in all seasons of life, really. You know, from being a kid, I used to go every week with my dad. Growing up, me and him, that was our ritual. Yeah. Every Saturday morning, we would get there like right when they opened the gates, and then you know, in high school and college, like you'd go with your crushes and in big groups. It was so much fun. It's like, oh my God, am I going to sit on the Matterhorn with Steven? Like, oh my God. And it was so exciting. And then pregnant was like sweet. And then once I had Ember and I could stroll around with her. Now that we live in LA, I like never go.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun now with a kid. It's magic.
Yeah, it is. Except there's still people vomiting, yelling at their kids.
I guess I don't see any. I think I must have Disney blinders on. I don't see anything except sparkle and churros and people that are happy and pixie dust and people covered in pins. Like that's really all that I see. And people, I'm like, oh my God, look at them having this beautiful time with their family. The only thing I do see is when you see families of like 10 people, and I'm just thinking about how expensive that is and like how that's like a month of work.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, so I'm kind of with them on that. So sorry, Jess, that I judge you and I think you're weird.
Listen, as a Disney stan, I accept your judgment and I welcome it.
But that's weird to say that what they were saying that was one step too far is that like going by yourself is, I'm like, no, that's really fun. My roommate and I used to go, especially, but you know what? I will say this. Gray's never been to California Adventure. And I will say that's a different ballpark. California Adventure to me is for adults.
It feels way more adult-ish.
I mean, now they have the whole Cars Land and all that, which I've still heard is really cool.
It's so fun.
But I remember when California Adventure first opened, you know, it was like Soaring Out Over California was like very classy. You know, like everything was very like they sell wine there. You know, it was all very more like adult oriented in a way.
I mean, you go to California Adventure and you get a mini trip around California. Yeah. All its pockets, its nooks and crannies.
California Adventure is pretty cool. So you can go visit Fresno, you know, and no, you can't do any of that. But anyway, so he hasn't been there. So that might be why, because I mean, he hasn't experienced it yet. But my roommate and I used to go. And what I was going to say was, so we get used to go and we used to bring our weed vapes. So we would get off work because we lived in Lincoln Heights, so it was like about an hour away, pretty close to here actually. So we'd get off work around like 5 or 6, and then we'd go and we'd just kind of like get dinner in downtown Disney and just hang out till like 11 or whenever it closes, which is fun too because then you can go on all the rides late at night. There's no lines. There's not really any little kids.
And let's be real, the rides at night are pretty magical.
Yeah, so you can see the Matterhorn all lit up, the fireworks, all that shit. So. And it would be so fun because we would stand in line like just being total degenerates, like hitting the vape in line with all these children, and then would just be holding the hoodies up to our nose and like trying to slowly breathe. And of course, vape smoke would like be coming out of the sweatshirts.
Like a fucking dragon in a cave.
Exactly. And we'd just be like, oh shit, did anyone notice? And our eyes are just like, we can barely even open them because we're just like so stoned. And I remember us both being in line for the roller coaster Disney California Adventure, and I remember like looking at her and like her looking at me, and I remember us being like, I'm so high right now, and I'm so scared. But it was still so fun because it was just two of us. So Gray and I, which I'm sure someone will be like, ugh, but whatever. I'm sure you guys are having like your 3 Dole Whip. Don't they have like Dole alcoholic beverages now?
I'm sure that they do. I'm sure that they do.
They have alcohol in Disney now. That's like a new thing.
In Disney?
In Disneyland.
Okay, yeah, I haven't had that yet.
Right. So it's like, I know people are having.
But I guess I know what I'm doing next time I go.
There you go. So I know people.
Sorry, Ember, you're gonna have to fend for yourself, honey. Mama's got the Dole Whip rum.
I think they do have some drink like that.
Delish.
Sounds good.
I know they have the little Star Wars cantina.
Oh, really?
And they serve like really fun alcoholic beverages there, and it looks like the cantina from the movie.
Oh yeah, they call it like green. They call it like green, the green juice or something like that. I saw that.
Yeah.
The Star Wars land was cool. I hadn't seen that yet. It's cool. It's almost a little scary.
It's so real. It's kind of frightening.
I was like kind of ready to be done. We were there for a little while, and I was like, I'm out.
I'm in there the whole time. I'm just like, you see Chewbacca, and I'm just like. And I'm feeling starstruck. The last time Chewbacca was there, and he's by the Millennium Falcon, and he's like,
saw it.
And like Ember's waving at him. She would point at him and then do this finger to him, like come hither. And he kept coming over, and she'd just be like, "Hi." She was like flirting with Chewbacca. It was very strange.
Ruth liked the stormtroopers. She goes, "I want to go see the bad guys." She thought they were so cool.
Yeah, they're cool.
They are cool.
But
the costume design,
man, whew, so fun.
But we can't go on any of the cool rides in Star Wars Land.
And the Rise of the Resistance is unreal.
I know. I've heard it's worth it to buy like the $20 fast pass or something to get into it.
1,000% worth it. It's a cinematic experience. Like it's an interactive cinematic experience. You have to. It's a must.
I took your tip, by the way.
Oh,
Jess told us
I'm
to
glad.
get these for anyone who's going to Disneyland. What they're called? What are they? What are they called?
They're called Genie.
Disney Genie.
Genie Plus or something.
It's
now.
on the app. Mm-hmm. You pay like $20 a person. And it'll like tell you what rides are like you should go. It'll plan out your day for you based on typical wait times.
Yes, and then you can like get fast passes. They don't do the fast passes now that you just like put your pass in and get it. You have to pay for it now. But when it's busy at Disneyland, it's just if you're already spending the money, I'm like,
geez, they are. I know that's the thing. You have to go into Disneyland being like, we're gonna burn through the wallets today. I mean, it's just what you have to accept going into a theme park
I'm like,
in
I guess
general.
I'm opening a credit card to go to Disneyland with Ember. That's just how it is every time.
Although you can bring your own snacks in, which is pretty cool.
That is nice. I definitely bring a full backpack
and drinks.
of snacks.
They're like cool with it as long as it's not glass, which is nice. And I just had this realization where, how often do you get now that you're a big stoner, pothead, weed smoker, big Bob Marley fan and all that.
Yeah, the grass.
Now,
yeah,
the grass. I love it. The grass. Yes, herb, flower, tree. I smoke it all. How often would you say you're fearful when you're high?
I can say, well, first of all, I'm very cautious just because I still had like those bad experiences. Oh, yeah. But I've only had once now. And it was just because I got too high and it was a body high. And I felt like there were cinder blocks attached to my feet and arms. And I was supposed to go see family. And I was like, I can't even walk right now. And I didn't think I had that much, but I couldn't move. I was just like physically like dragging my body. And I was like, I don't like this. Yeah. But in my head, I felt happy. But I was not pleased with how my body was responding. So that's
probably one in, what would you say?
I mean, I would say maybe
30 weeds.
Yeah, we'll say 30 weeds. 30 weeds, 30
grasses,
trees.
30 trees.
Yeah.
1 in 30 trees.
Yeah.
I realized about half of my time being high is, 30%. About 30% of my time being high is terrifying. I don't know why I've been doing it for a decade now.
I was going to say, if I had 30% experience like that, there's no way. It's like you being like, 30% of the time, if I have one beer, I puke. I'd be like, well, then why are you having beer? It sounds terrible.
I realized that while at Disneyland, I wrote down, I was like, about half the time when I smoke weed, I am scared and miserable. And then the other half, I feel great. But it must be good enough where I have been...
70% is great.
I have been smoking weed. It's not even that great. But I have been smoking weed for over a decade now. And I keep returning to something that scares the shit out of me quite frequently.
Running into fearful arms. Interesting.
Sad for you. And I think that it must be because in high school, because all of my friends were always smoking weed, even if I was scared, I just kept doing it. It wasn't even peer pressure. It was just like, well,
it's just what you do.
I am going to keep doing this.
Right. So you haven't been smoking recently, right?
Well, no, I haven't. There was like a couple. When I say I haven't been smoking recently, it usually means like the past 2 weeks. I haven't been smoking recently.
Okay.
But I
didn't know if you were having like a retreat from it.
No, not really. I'm smoking weed again. But yeah, I just, it's so strange. It's so, isn't that
I mean,
odd?
I guess if it's 70% of the time, it's enjoyable, but also if it's a habit too, right? I mean, there's a little bit of like, it's, for example, it's like me with my coffee. We all know that I have lots of anxiety and that I get heart racing, and yet I continue to go back to the bottle here, and I just continue to caffeinate myself 24/7, even though I know a lot of times I feel terrible from it.
Well, being scared is also kind of an experience. This is another thing I was thinking. Like, why do we watch scary movies that scare the shit out of us?
Yeah, but I know that that's not real, so I don't necessarily feel...
But neither is my... I know that my fear is induced by this thing that's like, it's all in my head.
Sure.
So it's kind of similar.
That's some risky living.
Well, this is also the thing. After 10 years, I also know that it always ends. Mm-hmm. So there's that too. It's like, I know in about an hour and a half, if not sooner... I'm going to be completely fine.
I'm not going to be a slug on the floor anymore.
No, or just like terrified, like everyone around me is looking at me. And also it'll be funny to look back on. So I don't know.
If I start having scary moments, I'll be real with you. I will back away from the weed. It's just because it's been good so far, but I'm also very cautious with it.
Yeah.
And the one time I kind of wasn't. Cinder block feet.
Yeah.
I could see them on my feet.
What do you mean?
Like, it was like I could visualize that there were like cinder blocks attached to my feet. I'm like, I know they're not there and I don't actually see them, but it felt as so real that I was like, no, there's definitely something weighted attached to my feet, which is why I can't move very well. I'm having to like lift my leg up to like take a step. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the other thing. My neighbor just recently told me about this. Have you ever heard of bufo before? Mm-mm. So it's this toad venom that people smoke that has this compound in it that it's sort of like DMT, where it lasts like, I don't know, like 20 minutes on average, I think. And I actually want to do it. I'll tell you why. She said that like some people don't even remember their experience like on it at all. But like if you Google it, most people, and it's actually been scientifically shown to help like depression, like anxiety, all these different things. And what they say is that the only time you've like experienced this before is like in birth. And they say it's like your own birth. They say your soul goes back to source and recharges and then comes back to your body. But she said that it felt like, she felt, and this is why I thought you should do it with me.
Oh God.
She said it felt like she recognized that like her soul and her body were two different entities, and she that made her feel at peace, because she was like, oh, like it all makes sense. Like my body's temporary, and like this is where she said it was like this overwhelming sense of like deja vu, of like familiarity.
I mean, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that, knowing my luck, we'll smoke it together. You'll have a unbelievably beautiful experience. And you said this is toad venom. I will somehow go to Mother Toad, get swallowed by her, and have like this horrific, like giant toad experience.
You know what's so funny is that when I was thinking about doing it with you, I literally thought I shouldn't do it with Jess because she's going to come out of it first and is going to be like this. Bekah, it was incredible. It was, I can't even. You just have to do it.
I am reborn.
And then I would be, that is so funny because I literally thought that. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to come out of it like terrified.
I mean, I guess you have your fears with the drugs.
I do have my fears. But when she brought it up, I was like, yeah, wait, so you get to do what you're saying. I cut you off. You said I have my fears with drugs, but you.
No, I'm just saying you have your fears with drugs. Yeah. But I just never have ventured there much. And then
me neither.
Oh, I just feel.
But here's the good thing.
Test my luck.
She said it feels like when you she said it felt like when you what's it called when they like put you under? Like anesthesia. Like, you know how she said, you know how like with anesthesia, how they'll be like asking you a question, you'll be like, and then you wake up and it's like over.
Yeah.
She said it felt like that, where it felt like there was no time passed but she said that.
Oh, it's quick.
Yes. Well, like I said, it's on average 20 minutes, but she said the feeling of it is like she didn't even, this is how exactly how she described it. She said she was at this beautiful place in Malibu, this beautiful home with the facilitators of it or whatever. You smoke it. You hold it in as deeply, or no, you didn't hold it in. You just keep breathing it in deeply. And then what they described was like, if you've taken enough, like you'll be gone before you even exhale. So it happens like quick. And she said that like, she breathed it in. And then she said she saw like this black and white sort of like swirl or like spiral. And then the next thing she remembers is like seeing the spiral go actually the other way and then like opening her eyes. And she was like in the arms of like one of the facilitators. And she said that she was like actually really confused for a second of like, why am I like back in my body? And
so like the trip felt really fast for her.
Yeah, she said she just doesn't even like really exactly. It's more like she said she can't describe it. It's like it was like a sensation.
Okay.
And this like knowing about all these different things about her soul and her body, but it wasn't like I went to this place and I saw these creatures and then I came back.
That makes me very less anxious,
right?
Because
me too.
The length is what scares me. I think a lot of it has to do with like when I had the terrible weed experience the one time where it was like
hours
lasted for, it felt like an eternity.
Yeah, well, and that's what she said. She actually thought of me because she was like, oh, it's not like, you know, a shroom trip or an acid trip where you might be buckling up for like 12 to 14 hours. It's like feels like a blip in time, but it's a very like expansive, profound sensation. And she said that ever since then, it's just like even moving about the world, she's looking at people and like sensing that they're like, you know, this feeling of connectedness of like everyone's like souls and bodies and all that kind of thing. I think we should all afford to do it.
Okay. All right.
But you can't go in. I don't think you can go in with other people. You have to do like one person at a time.
Oh my God.
I know, right? And then you have to decide who goes
first.
It's
like going to the Halloween Horror Nights and they make you go through like a little thing all of a sudden by yourself. And I'm like, I came with a group.
I want to go first.
Like, can you report back?
Yeah. I don't see
So if you have a horrifying experience, I can be like, I'm out. I'm dipping.
Yeah. I don't think it's that kind of drug though. That's the thing that I was gonna like. I think that the way she described it is if like, look, if you're trying to fight it, but it doesn't even seem like you have much of a chance to fight from the way she was describing it. It seems like it's like it's like beams you up kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I told her that one of the scariest things I think about being high or like tripping on anything for me personally is actually having moments of lucidity where you're like,
yeah. No, I get that.
I was just acting crazy and I know I'm just about to go back into that.
Yeah. No, I totally
scary,
get that.
Right?
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I kind of like the feeling of being like sucked up and sucked down and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
One and done, right?
All right. I'll do it. All right, I'll do it.
Fine.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I have to go first though. Because again, if you have like, no, actually it'll be worse if you went first and then you were like, Bekah, it was so beautiful. That's gonna trip me out.
Oh, if I had a great experience, because then you're gonna get in your head like something bad's gonna happen to me.
Yeah, or something.
What if I went first and I came out and I was like, it was hell on earth. Like it was horrifying. Like I saw the devil and I've now been reborn as his spawn.
You're like, what if you came out and you're psyched there and you're like, I'm Satan's wifey?
So we got married. It's on the opposite finger because, I don't know, the devil. He just does things differently. Now it's your turn.
I had a Bible teacher tell me that Satan worshipers call him Natas because everything's backward.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think that's true?
No.
Natas.
God. My poor little Christian soul.
You're like, so I am Natas's mistress.
No, I come out and I'm
you
just
have a split tongue. You're like,
I come out, my tongue is cut, and I am speaking backwards.
Oh my God, dude. If you did that, I would literally leave you there and I would drive home so quick.
You wouldn't go in?
No.
You wouldn't try it after that?
Maybe I need to explore my dark side. Maybe I should.
Coward.
You're like, Natas. Your eyes are all black. Ooh. But yeah, I mean, I think we should do it.
Fine, for your birthday, I'll say that I'll do it.
And it costs $333.
No, God.
Oh, no, but that means, you know what? Two people, you know what that adds up to?
Yeah, 666. Bitch, I'm out. All right, I'm done. 666.
So that's why we got to get the guys in there, because then it adds up to like $1,368 or something.
Okay. If the number's not 666.
Let's see what 666 times 2 is and see what the numerology is. Report back, guys, if this is bad or good, please.
But we then have to pay all together.
$1,332.
Okay.
We have to pay together.
We have to pay all the four of us together because I don't want to pay $666 going in. That'll just scare me.
You on Venmo, you're just like 666.
It's also a lot of money, I'm not gonna lie to you.
That is a lot of money.
So
for a once in a lifetime experience, for a dance with the devil. It is actually a lot of money. They must be racking in the cash if those experiences are only like 20 minutes.
Jeez, yeah. That's
Should we do ads?
All right, well, for a quick breather from my potential horror that Bekah is going to hold over my head for her birthday.
Yes.
Broads, one of life's greatest mysteries, I think, is that the food that is so good and nutritious for us tastes so blah, right? Like, I don't know, broccoli, kale. Why does it just taste green? Well, turns out maybe it has less to do with the food and more to do with how you cook the food. Eating healthy can actually be super delicious, especially if you're eating with Green Chef.
Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating food that tastes good and is good for you. Sometimes it can be difficult to find delicious, healthy things to eat, especially if you follow any sort of lifestyle like veganism, gluten-free, or paleo. But with Green Chef, the options are literally endless. Each week, you'll get to choose from over 35 different recipe options that are always made with clean, seasonal ingredients, organic veggies, and premium proteins. Okay, and just to give you guys an idea of how good these meals are, here are a few that I got last week. Chicken with creamy zucchini noodles, pork chops with tahini sauce, and my new favorite, Cajun shrimp stir fry.
Oh, don't forget about the chicken veggie pho.
Oh,
so good.
Haven't had that yet.
So good. That was the #1 for me last week. All I had to do was just, blast my air conditioning and pretend it wasn't hot outside in LA, cuddle up, eat that chicken veggie pho. So good. But even better than the delicious recipes you get with Green Chef is the time that you get back by not having to grocery shop, plan recipes, do a million dishes, and prep tons of ingredients. Green Chef meals are pre-prepared and ready in just minutes, so you can spend all that time you get back with the ones that you have and the ones that you love.
Go to greenchef.com/chatty130 and use code chatty130 to get $130 off plus free shipping. That's greenchef.com/chatty130 to use code chatty130 to get $130 off and free shipping.
Let's talk about natural hygiene products, Broads, specifically natural deodorant. I'll admit I was skeptical about using natural deodorant because I had tried close to 10 different ones, and quite frankly, none of them really did jack squat for me, okay? All natural deodorants are definitely not created equal, though, and finally I found my favorite brand of natural deodorant. Keeps me smelling fresh. Smells amazing. It's totally natural, and that's Native.
Jess and I have been loving Native for quite some time, but if you haven't tried it yet, here's the rundown. Native is aluminum-free, vegan, and cruelty-free. It's made with naturally derived ingredients and has 24-hour odor protection. The most important thing with choosing products that go in and on your body is the ingredients, and if you've ever looked at an ingredient list, then you know most of what goes into wellness products is stuff you can't even pronounce, so that's going to be a pass for me. But with Native, you're going to find ingredients that are familiar to you, like coconut oil and shea butter.
And with 10 different scents to choose from, plus rotating seasonal scents, you could literally have a new scent every month if you wanted to. Right now, I have been loving their newest collaboration with Baked by Melissa. Oh my God. The deodorant that is the vanilla cupcake, don't eat it, but I want to eat it. Like, it smells so good. And also the peach cupcake, like body wash and all those scents, they're unbelievable. Perfect for the summertime coming up and anytime. They're amazing.
Smell and feel fresh all day long with Native. Get 20% off your first order by going to nativedeo.com/chatty and use promo code chatty at checkout. That's nativedeo.com/chatty. Or you can use promo code chatty at checkout for 20% off your first order.
So I did want to tell you about something that happened to me.
Good.
So I am on my period right now.
Yeah.
And well, two things about that. One, I went out in my follicular phase.
Yes.
My friend was like, hey, can you please meet me out at this party?
Yes. You're like, let me check my...
And I looked and I'm like...
Let me check my chart.
And I was like, oh no, my period is starting tomorrow. But I didn't want to bail on her. So I went in with you in my brain and I was like, okay. I told her I was going to go out. The last time I went out, we all know what happened and I made an absolute fool of myself. Yes. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to channel the energy that is me during this phase, which is a little quieter. I'm not like bouncing around. I'm not trying to impress and be like, hey, quick banter. Yes. I'm like, I'm going to channel my mystery.
Yes.
I'm going to I kept my sunglasses on. I wore all black.
Oh, I love it.
And I was super like laid back.
I'm not trying to force anything.
No. And let me tell you what, it was a success.
Well done.
I went out and I had great conversations with people. I felt very like, it was weird because I think accepting what phase I was in and then kind of, adding a little bit of a part to it. I'm like, I'm just going to play mysterious. I felt very like sexy still in my body because I was accepting where like my headspace was. And I'm like, maybe this is my new ovulation period.
That's what I did right before I got my period when we went out to comedy. I was like, I'm going to wear all black, kind of like flowy so it's comfy, but then some heels, put my hair up so it's out of the way and I'm not brushing it back, and it feels good, right? You're like, this is right for the time.
It was perfect. It was perfect. And I then I had an amazing time and it was a very successful experience. And so I'm like, I'm going to keep doing what Becca's telling me, because if I just step into that part of my month, it's just
and you're not trying to force anything, right? You're not trying to dig your heels into
because normally if I were to go out and I'd be at that point in my phase, then I would feel super not in my own body.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm trying to force this part of me that is me, but I'm just not in that headspace, instead of just stepping into follicular phase Jess.
I love that.
And she is a mysterious bitch, honey.
Yes.
She is brooding.
Yes.
And the comebacks can be quick, but they're just different. They're a little harsher.
I think I think that's your luteal phase.
Luteal phase? Am I saying it all wrong?
Might be. I think follicular is right. Let me look it up real quick. I think follicular is right before you ovulate.
I'm going to turn the air on. I'm so sorry, because you know what? It is February and it is 85
it's always
degrees.
Like this. It's always like this in LA at some point in January, February.
It's so hot.
Okay, hate to be the corrector here, but
is it luteal?
Yeah, it's luteal phase you're talking about.
Here's the thing. I got it wrong, but I did it right.
Yes.
But I did it right. So that was part one.
Yeah.
And that was great. But then 2 days later, in my luteal phase, I was in my car minding my own business at a stoplight, and the guy behind me hit me. It wasn't a big, he bumped me.
Yes.
But the parking lot was right next to the light, and so I just pulled in, and I could see him very annoyingly pulling in, even though he hit me. And
like he was annoyed.
Oh, he was.
I literally
so
just
annoyed.
witnessed that today, of a car pulling out in front of someone, getting sideswiped, and being like, "What the fuck?" And you're like, "Dude, you just did this."
It's like, this is what you did. So he pulls in, irritated. I could tell. And as I get out of my car, and I'm being really friendly, it was a bump. It happens. I've done it before. I'm not mad at the person.
No.
Whatever. We'll get it paid for. Whatever. And so I was like, hi, how are you? And I was right away friendly, and he didn't say anything, and he just like walks away for a second to pick up the license plate from the front of his car that had fallen off in the...
So passive-aggressive.
So passive-aggressive that
Is
has
it
fallen off.
older gentleman, younger?
He's probably like in his 50s. And,
Of course.
And I'm then behind my car, I'm taking photos of the damage, which was very minimal, right? There's just like... There was a couple little scratches, little like 2 little tiny dents. It wasn't big, but we just got the bumper replaced recently. So it was like...
Here we go again.
Sucks. So, but I was taking photos of it. And he like walks up next to me and he goes, no damage. And I'm like, well, yeah, there's some damage right here, see? And he goes, I don't see anything.
And you're like, don't try to bully me out of this. Give me your fucking insurance card right now. I'm calling the police.
He goes, I don't see anything. And I bend down and I'm like, I will point out right here the dents and the damage that was done. I said, it's not a lot, but you definitely did damage to my car. And he's like, well, I don't see anything, so I don't know why we have to exchange information. And Bekah, your luteal phase queen lost it.
What did you do?
It exploded out of me.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I didn't yell at him, but my voice...
Have you gone to the smash room yet? Get to the smash room, girl.
But I looked at him, and I was just like, dagger, my Scorpio, it just like came in, and I looked at him, and I'm like, I'll scream. No, I'm kidding. No, but I looked at him and I said, if I was a man right now, there's no way that you would be fucking acting like you don't see any damage. It's because I'm a woman. If I was a man, there's no way you'd be... I was going off on him. I'm like, there's no way that you'd be trying to get out of showing me your insurance card. Give me your insurance card right the fuck now. I lost it on him. Fully lost it on him.
What did you do?
He was pissed, but he was keeping it at bay because I think then he's like, oh, she's not playing right now. Like, she's going to do something drastic because I was just like,
you're like, I'll show you fucking damage to your car. She's gonna get back. You know, we see those videos of people get in their car and then they start ramming into the other car.
But it was crazy because I literally said 4 times, and when I came out of the car, I was being so nice to him. Of course. And then I showed him, I'm like, well, there is actual damage. And then he was refusing to exchange information with me. And it's true. If I was some tall guy standing there, there's no way he would have been like, I don't see any damage. I'm not going to give you my insurance card. Yeah. Oh, man, I lost it. Luteal phase.
So he was pissed, but he was keeping it at bay, and then he brought his shit back.
He kept it at bay, and then he gave it. He very begrudgingly showed me his stuff, and then like he pulled out his insurance card. And I'm like, I'm gonna also need your license. And then he was like, oh. And then I was like, I'm gonna also need your number. Like I was getting everything from him.
So did you go immediately to your family doctor and go, oh, I need scans. My neck.
Something's bothering me. No, in fact, I was so just like fired up that I came home and I completely forgot about it for like 48 hours. And then I was like, oh, Evan, I forgot to tell you someone hit my car. Because I just got I was so mad.
Justifiably so.
I was just so irritated. I'm like, excuse me. So that was my luteal phase so far.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I don't have really I don't think I have the capacity to go off on a stranger like that. And I wish I did. Maybe if I was defending like if someone was hurting someone, I think I could.
I think I don't have the capacity to go off on someone who I know. Yeah. The stranger thing, apparently I don't have a problem with. And it's so like not me normally. Yeah. And then it's like...
Good for you.
And I was just like, oh, you're going to try that with me right now? You're going to... And all I could hear in my head too is Evan always says, because like... If Evan's ever there, nothing like this ever happens. Yeah. And then when I'm alone, often like that type of shit goes down. So I was just hearing that in my brain and I was like, it's not going to happen this time.
Not today, bitch.
I'm in my luteal phase and I just had a successful night 2 days ago. You're not going to take me away from this.
You know, I had someone do that in the Santa Monica College parking structure where I was sitting in the car on the phone. And this bitch pulls in her car next to me and goes, eh! Like, and my whole car moves. And so I'm like, Chris, I'm gonna have to call you back.
One
Click.
sec. Yeah.
Yeah, click, as if I have a flip phone. And then I walk around and I'm like, I don't even remember what I said. I was just like,
You just
okay,
roll the window down. You're just like,
So I got out and walk around. I'm like, hey, I don't know if I said, like, you hit my car. Like, she was literally about to, like, walk out and go to class. I was like, you hit my car. And she, with the most attitude, she's like, no, I didn't.
You're like,
and I go, I literally like, well.
Hard blink.
I was like, well, I was sitting in my car and I felt it move. Like, I felt the car move. Yeah. And she was like, I think that was already there. And I'm like, this is gray paint. Your car is gray. Oh, and on your car, you have white paint on
You're
your
like,
car.
our cars made love, as you can see.
There was a little friction.
There was a little friction between them, and now we have the evidence, so pay up.
It was so crazy. And she was literally like, no. And I go, okay, well, and she was probably like 19. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to need your license and registration and that stuff. And she goes, fine. And literally gets her license. And I remember her being like, rolling her eyes and like sticking her arm out like,
she's
Kara.
like, she's so old.
She's
You're like
Kara.
22. She's like,
Yeah, literally.
You're so old.
She's like, here, you know, and I'm like acting still as if I'm inconveniencing her because she didn't hit my car. Crazy.
I've had similar situations before. I've been present when similar things have happened. And I think, who are these people? And I want like maybe 1% of that in my body because I don't want to be that asshole. No. But at the same time, like, if I open my car door and I bump into someone's car, if they're not in the car, you're about to get a full-blown, like, rolled-up letter from me on your hood with, like, my social security number, where I live, too much information. And if they're in the car, I'm like, I'm so crying. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm panicking. So the idea of being annoyed at someone when I do that, it doesn't register.
I've really ran the gamut when it comes to car accident situations.
Yeah, you truly have.
I haven't told you this one. When I was in high school and I was a senior, so you get to eat off-campus lunch, right?
Love that, yeah.
I had my car,
Pure freedom.
I probably had totaled it. So I had my dad's Tahoe that I was driving. And I took a couple of my friends. We're going to McDonald's, as you do.
Of course. And
as I'm leaving the parking lot, backing out or something, I scrape into this guy's truck. It's a beater. It's old, whatever. I still am like, oh, I'm so sorry. I hit your truck. Here's my number.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out who was in the McDonald's because I had to go back to class. I was going to be late. But I leave my info. I go. I get a call from this guy in class. Oh, no. And he's like, I'm calling the police on you. This is a hit and run. I'm calling the police so they can investigate. He was saying that they were going to come to my school and arrest me. But I know, because I've hit cars before.
You're like,
and I was also in mock trial, and the case was about a hit and run. And I go, sir, I left my information. You know who I am. You're calling me right now. That's not a hit and run.
No.
I'm sorry, sir. I had to leave to go back to class. You have my information. That's not a hit and run. He was like, we're going to find you. We're going to come to the school. I'm like, sir, you don't have to find me. I'm giving you my insurance information right now, sir.
Oh my God.
And he would not let up. But thankfully I knew better. Otherwise I would have been terrified. But then I'm back in the class.
I can picture high school Becca being like, listen, sir, in section 125 of this part of our law, what you're doing to me now is harassment, and I will arrest your ass. You're like chewing, in my brain, you're like chewing gum and like playing with your septum ring, and you're just like, I will have you arrested immediately, sir.
No, it was literally like I said, I was like, but you have my information. Yeah. I had to go back to class. Yeah. And then you know what the funniest thing was is that apparently then later that day in my mock trial, like after school group, whatever, this girl in there is like, oh my God, like my redneck cousin is complaining, posting photos all over Facebook about how someone hit his car in the McDonald's parking lot. And I'm like, that was me. And she was like, he's losing his shit on Facebook. Facebook right now about this bitch who hit and run his car in the McDonald's parking lot. It was too fucking funny.
Weird. That's bizarre.
Yeah. So, and then I was harassed and verbally assaulted when I tapped someone's car in the parking lot before.
Yeah, you've really had a lot of car experiences.
Well, that's my fault. I've hit a lot of things.
No, I get that because I also am not, I've become a good driver, but I used to be a really terrible driver and I would hit like just ding things like inanimate objects all the time, or like when I was pulling out, the parking lots were my absolute hell.
Did you know that women actually have worse spatial awareness than men?
Really?
In your brain, like when you're moving about the world, there's a whole podcast on this, like your brain plots out points, like it's like, I guess it's like my mom described it as like a triangle. I'm probably describing it all wrong, but it's like your brain will plot out as you're walking along, like in your peripheral and in front of you, like this is the distance away that things are from me and all of that. Women's is just worse than men's, or like we're like lacking some component actually biologically.
Can I tell you, I can barely walk downstairs.
I'm
like
the same
all
way.
the railing. I'm just like, oh my God. Like escalators scare me so much.
Okay, so Cian from I was just thinking about the escalators. Cian from my season of The Bachelor, her biggest fear was falling down the escalator. And ever since she said that, I can't get out of my fucking head. I never thought about it before.
It's a death trap. It's literally like, it's slippery, it's metal, it's jagged with like the way that like the edges of the escalator are just poking out. And
it is. It's hard. If you've ever like scraped your shin, that hurts so
and
bad.
God forbid I have to take Ember down the escalator with me. Like I will find the elevator or stairs. I'm like, I hate this so much because I'm so nervous about it. And so then and she doesn't pay attention. So I'm like, and now, and now. And there's a line waiting to get off behind us because we're taking so long to get on the escalator. Going down, going up, I'm fine.
Ruth, when I was traveling with her recently, we were on the escalator at the airport and I hopped on and then she was with my suitcase and I thought she was right behind me, but she was still timidly waiting to step on. But then I'm trying to run up the escalator, to get her. Just a nightmare, just a total nightmare.
That is the stuff of hell.
You got to be careful because it could be a self-fulfilling prophecy, because Cian, one time we were meeting up and she had fallen down the escalator.
No.
Yes, it had totally cut up her legs. It was horrible.
God.
She fell down the escalator.
I need to before I step on the escalator, I need to give myself the energy of okay, here we go. I'm going to dominate this thing. I'm going to make this escalator my bitch.
Do you fall off the sidewalk, Do you fall? Yeah, I know.
I'm not very coordinated.
I used to fall off. I used to bike around UC Irvine and I would fall off my bike all the time. I would just hit a curb and fall off my bike as, an adult.
Just the mental image of you just hitting a bush and your legs just
yeah, probably just flying all over the place.
Everyone's always just have you seen that one girl around campus? She's always flying off her bike.
You know what the funny thing is too is they give out tickets on campus if you ride your bike. There's sometimes you have a police officer giving out tickets.
If you ride your bike?
Yeah, you're not supposed to ride it on Ring Road, the designated walking only place.
I mean, sometimes you got to get places fast.
I do. I'm always late to things, so I'm got to pedal across campus when you only got 10 minutes to walk half a mile.
But to be fair, you're always hitting things.
Yeah.
So they're please don't.
This is a liability.
You're going to cost us a lot of money in a lawsuit, okay? So please put your bike away. Use those legs.
Please, ma'am. Put the bike. So people scooter around too, which is just...
Wait, so you can't bike, but you can scooter?
I actually don't think you could scooter either, but people can just hop off the scooter real quick, all cool, and be fold up their razor.
I used to have there was a professor on campus who was so hot.
And he scootered around campus?
No, skateboarded. He was, it was literally everyone on campus. Was he
younger than 30? He was 28-year-old professor or some shit like that too?
Yeah, he was probably 27 at the time.
Yeah.
And everyone talked about him on campus. He was so, it wasn't even oh, you're hot. It wasn't oh, there's a bunch of professors that aren't attractive, and then he's the one young one, so you're maybe you're cute. He was a model. Yeah. Okay? And he would wear his little tortoiseshell glasses with his one hair that would fall in front of his eye, and every once in a while he'd take the glasses off, and it was it was Indiana Jones, when he's the professor.
Clark Kent.
Yeah, it was just oh my God. And then he'd have his cute little outfits in his briefcase, and he would skateboard around the campus, and he would teach history too, which is also really hot.
Yeah.
A hot history teacher.
Yeah. Do you think I'd make a good professor?
Yeah, you would.
I would love to be a professor.
Yeah. I could imagine you being incredible at being a professor, but even more so, incredible at knowing that you're a professor.
What does that even mean?
Like I imagine you being an incredible teacher. Like I would think that you'd like speak and teach very well, but even better than that would be like your aura of like, I am a professor.
I am Dr. Martinez.
What you're wearing, it's like this guy, how you're showing up to class, the way that you would like pull your bun down, the way you'd put your glasses on, it would be like, who is this person?
I need to be a professor
like,
now.
How
New
many
life goal.
lives has she lived?
New life goal. That's the next thing I have to do is be a fucking professor. That requires a lot of school, but I'm up for the challenge. Yeah, you know, I think what I would really enjoy too is I loved this as a fellow student because especially as I got older, never cared about being the asshole in class, especially when we would do like art classes, you know, and I would get livid, absolutely furious.
Let the woman drink.
Almost choked on my spit. I would get livid when someone was clearly half-assing the assignment and the professors and the other students would dance around it in critiques, where they would be like, well, I can really see like the dimension. And, you know, granted, art is subjective, but there was some times where it is so obvious.
But you're like, tell them they are lazy.
That they're bullshitting. And I remember one time in a critique where there's this guy, and it was the third time he had done it. It was his third project, and he was coming up with some bullshit description for something that he had clearly made 30 minutes before. It's like, it's about temporality, whatever. And I just remember being like, honestly, Justin, I think his name was Justin. I was like, honestly, Justin, like, I think it's really obvious that you didn't really put any effort into this.
Said that?
Yeah, in critique. And I was like, I just think that, I kind of feel like you're bullshitting us right now. Like, and I...
This is perfect. I see you on your bike. You fell into a bush earlier, so there's still like 2 sticks in your hair. In my brain, you're pregnant. And you're in the front row with a couple sticks in your hair and you have glasses on and you just turn around. You're like, Justin?
No, and the crazy thing is in critique, you're all standing in a circle around the person's artwork. So you're all standing there, you know, and you're all like, you've been looking at for 10 minutes.
And you're just like, the leaves are in the hair, you're pregnant, and you're like, Justin, some of us want to actually be here. I don't know what this bullshit is.
I was like, it's just casual. Just like, honestly, I don't know. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't seem like you put very much work in. I just got to be honest. I got to say it. And everyone else is just kind of like...
They're like, she's got a point.
So I can't wait to be that professor where I'm like... Where I'm like, and, you know... It's incredibly disrespectful that you would blatantly lie to my face saying that you put any thought at all into this project. Because we can see it. We can all see it.
You're like, do you want to be here? I sure don't.
Did you see that video of the teacher going off on the students?
No.
Okay, because this teacher was like, if I saw any of you... and people were really giving her shit, but I had to say, like, man, I think I know where she's coming from. Obviously, she's clearly having a breakdown.
Of course. Was this during the COVID times?
I think it was.
Oh my God.
No, I don't think it was on Zoom. I don't think it was on Zoom.
Because I was going to say, on top of like,
recent.
Okay, but it's the stressful times on top of everything, on top of these like...
I have never had a group of students where I could say with such confidence that I would not care. I remember having teachers that would like break down crying.
I mean... Yeah.
Because you're horrible.
Yeah.
You're horrible.
Oh, there's one specific teacher.
I would abuse my teachers emotionally constantly.
There's one specific teacher that I wish that I could find his information because the amount of...
The trauma.
Yeah, the amount of shit that our entire class put this poor man through is like, it haunts me. Like,
and the trauma that we would put our Spanish teacher through, oh my God.
God
I would just get up in the middle of her lecture and just go make popcorn in the back of the room in the microwave.
I mean, can you imagine the disrespect?
That's insane.
The disrespect. Like, I used to, God, I was so weird. Okay. I used to every day, but I don't think he liked this. And I was doing it because I'm weird and I thought I have a weird sense of humor. But I would take, every day I would get a Snapple. I'd pop the Snapple and I'd take the Snapple fact, my Diet Peach, and I would draw this weird guy that was looking over, like a cartoon of a weird guy looking over a a fence saying the Snapple cap. And I'd be, or saying what the Snapple cap said, be like, Mr. Moore, why hello? Then he'd say weird shit like, well, hello there. How are you today? Did you know? And I'd leave it at his desk every day. And every day he'd look at it and he would just be like, so disturbed by like how weird I was. And then like the class would be chanting his name whenever he would try to talk. And I just feel so bad.
High school is crazy because you adopt these like things like that where you're just like, I'm gonna make this my thing.
Yeah, you're kind of like, this is my weird thing.
That's what I would do with the popcorn, where I'm like, this is my thing. I'm gonna bring a bag of popcorn and pop it in class and pass it around.
Yeah, you're like, I'm the popcorn
Everyone
girl.
thinks
I'm
it's
like,
hilarious.
I'm the Snapple cap girl.
Everyone loves it.
Everyone thinks it's like your whole, and you've got a shtick in class, and everyone's like, oh my God, Becca's about to do that. They're like, oh, Jess is about to deliver her letter to him.
Yes.
Like, it's a whole thing. And I think about now,
it's terrorism.
If I was speaking to a group of 15-year-olds, and they were treating me that way,
and they were chanting, Mrs. Ambrose. Anytime you'd try to talk about anything,
I would go off. There's no way that I could keep my composure.
And now you have iPhones.
Exactly. And it's like, I you know what? I'd have one class in me. I could do it one time. Second day, done. I would be like,
a block period where it's like 2.5 hours of the same shits.
I would just be crying, and I'd be like, you all have no idea. I'd be like, you're all so young. I don't understand.
I had a
like,
algebra teacher who was pregnant, I remember, in 8th grade. And I remember her standing in front of all of us crying.
Oh, that poor thing.
And just being like, you guys are just, like she was, losing it.
Yes. Oh.
And we're all just sitting there like, finally listening to her. We're like, sorry, Mrs. Nazarian.
I feel horrible. Like I go back and I just feel like, in general, I was always too scared because I was such a people pleaser, to do that with the teachers. But this one specific one.
And it's mob mentality. Sometimes the entire class.
That was the thing. It was like there's the certain teachers. It's
like she was saying, sometimes there's a class, a certain teacher and a certain combination of students that is just
coming
an
together.
Alchemy of it's fun for the students.
Well, it's almost like the students feel like they're like, we can take advantage.
It's camaraderie.
We can take this teacher down.
We are a unit.
It's like we almost thought when we were students, like we could do enough to let us out of class early.
Yeah.
Like we can do this together.
Yes. Yeah.
Most of the kids wouldn't even show up to his class.
Yeah.
Because we'd have like lunch period before.
Yeah.
And there'd be like 4 of us in the class.
I remember in my Spanish...
And I'd just be sitting there front row with like my delivered Snapple cap letter.
What was his name? Shout him out.
Mr. Moore. I'm so
Mr.
sorry. You were such a sweet man. I feel horrible.
Well, broads, on that note, shout outs to all the teachers. Thank you for all your input. We love you.
Thank you. And happy birthday to Becca.
Thank you. Happy birthday to your private professor.
Send amazing messages to her.
Oh, man. Yeah, that feels like ages ago when we talked about that at the beginning of this episode.
So next episode, I would like to talk to you about so many things. Psychicness, about
oh my god,
my love. I have this thing I need to talk to you about uniting people. Gosh, there's
which actually our next episode is going to be with a professional matchmaker.
Yes, tune in Tuesday for the professional matchmaker episode.
Gonna be really fun.
It was a really great episode. We recorded it already. You all are going to love it. And then, of course, tomorrow, tune into the bros, because there are 2 very special guests.
Oh, yeah.
Very special guests that will be joining the bros. You do not want to miss it. We love you all, and
chat soon.
Chat soon.